Oh my God.
This mid-air collision occurred 15 months ago. My video of it and events leading up to it were taken then. I've held this footage until now to give some recovery space to the two deceased pilots' families and friends. I'm publishing this video now in the interest of air safety. Maybe we can learn something from this collision to help prevent a similar one in the future. If so, I proffer that those two beloved pilots who died that day might gaze down with their approval. This will not be a comprehensive analysis of this accident. That's the NTSB's job. I'm just providing the video I took and my direct observations from the scene. You be the judge of what went wrong, if anything, and applicability to your flying. Let's review roughly the last 3 to 4 minutes before this terrible crash. It was Sunday, October 12, 2014, the third day of a fly-in of over 100 airplanes at a dry lake in Nevada. At 8 a.m., I was warming my engine and taxiing towards takeoff. I had 3 GoPros running, and a friend on the ground with a video camera was waiting to capture my departure. Several of us were real anxious to get airborne ahead of strong north winds building aloft. A 1,400-foot east-west runway was in use along the north side of the lake bed. A couple flags provided wind direction. There was no formal traffic control, but a common radio frequency and standard left patterns were in use. As I taxied across the lake bed, folks were still getting breakfast at the chuck wagon. A few airplanes had already taken off, others were preparing to. Wind favored easterly departures. Ahead at 1 o'clock, note the blue and white Pacer and red and white Cessna 170. They're both warming and waiting for an experimental Savannah before the trio heads west to Carson, Nevada. There's the Savannah at 1 o'clock. He's propping his Rotax 912 engine, a common routine before checking the oil. At the 2 o'clock position, a Skywagon
Untitled Traffic, red and white Skywagon departing will be left hand.
Makes his departure call and heads for the runway. And I inch forward, planning to hold behind the waiting Pacer and 170. Note that my EIS shows oil temperature of my Rotax 912 is 105 degrees, well under the 118 minimum required to depart. My engine has now been running about 11 minutes. Another Rotax-powered experimental appears in front. Now I'll become number 4 in line. Meanwhile, at 10 o'clock, just under the bill of my cap, note the Savannah's engine is just starting. After the Savannah's startup, my GoPros run just 1.3 more minutes. Then I shut them all down to conserve batteries. During that 1.3 minutes, the Pacer and 170 both taxi to the runway and take off, with left downwind departures. Seconds before the GoPros go off, the Savannah taxis up to my right side and stops. His engine has now been running under 2 minutes. He makes a quick 360-degree clearing turn, then asks if any of us are ready to go. There's no response. The Savannah announces his takeoff call and launches northeast. Then seconds later, he turns northwest.
Tom, can you see Tyler?
He's running.
He's running.
The last piece of a deadly collision puzzle is in place, and the clock is ticking down.
You ready, Tom?
I am.
Blue and white Pacer taking off 3 shotgun shells to the east. Shotgun.
I next saw debris falling from the sky. The Savannah had broken apart, was my first thought. But my friend on the ground saw and heard what really happened. The mid-air collision of the Savannah and the 170. He instinctively pulled up his camera and captured this awful scene. For me, this accident highlighted 2 important things. First, that my greatest risk of colliding with another airplane occurs at and around airports, within 5 miles. Second, when I'm operating in a non-towered airport environment, I need to think like an aircraft controller whose job is to achieve aircraft order and spacing. Among the ways I've been upping my game around non-towered airports are 1. By following the pattern procedures. 2. By stating my intentions after I take off. 3. By requesting clarification of the intentions or positions of other airplanes if they're not clear. 4. By avoiding mistakes due to hurrying or rushing. Been there and done that. 5. By restating my intentions if I have any doubt about the intentions or position of another airplane. 6. By leaving the pattern if it becomes necessary due to unsafe conditions such as poor spacing. Anyway, I think this tragedy has made me a safer pilot. Maybe you can find some benefit too.